we want to do a premium mech suit. I think the mech suit needs to have as much articulation as the figure. Because there have been so many mech suits, it's hard to do a mech without having it tie back to any one of these mech suits. It is sealed, so this is probably going to cause a lot of backlash. You can't tool multiple mech suits. That's too costly. So you have to have some sort of base or shared parts. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out this new series that we have on exploring mech suits. So we have a new series that we decided to try out here. This might be multiple parts, depending on what we come up with, what you guys like, your feedback, and that sort of thing. But we have gotten a lot of comments over time about, the next things that Valaverse should do, whether, something new or something part of the Action Force line. And one that we keep hearing a lot is, when are you going to bring mech suits into Action Force? And a lot of that comes from just, other companies doing mech suits being around for a long time. We did that really great video on Exo Squad, so go check that out in our other videos. I've always been a huge fan of Exo Squad and mech suits. They've been around for a very long time. So many companies, so many IPs have done it. And it's something that I definitely want to do for Action Force. But because they've been done so many times, I feel like it's something we shouldn't just jump in and say we're doing mech suits. I want to take the time to really explore mech suits, what has been done, and what would work best for the Action Force line. And that all helps with your feedback. So doing these kind of series, I can give you my input on mech suits, see what's come, along the way, and then hearing what you guys think and what you prefer, because there's so many different costs and price points and designs you can do for mech suits that it makes it very hard, which is why, like I said, you can't just jump into the pool and say we're doing mech suits. But again, this is something that is very important to me and I think would be great for the Action Force line. So I'm going to go through a bunch of different mech suits. This might be just the first part in a whole mech suit series. So, we will introduce other companies' mech suits as we do more parts of this series. So if there's one you want to see from a company, let us know. I know that, there's definitely some that we aren't doing in this part, but that I do have in the back of my head that I want to do for future parts. So we're going to get into a couple and see what they did and see what worked, and then, see what might be a good direction to go in for Action Force. So I've got a few examples, but I'm going to start with an older one.
Action Force is bringing the fight to cancer. In honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Valaverse has enlisted the Steel Brigade to lead this fight. This new female Steel Brigade action figure, clad in pink with the iconic breast cancer ribbon adorned on her vest, is available on Valaverse.com now. Valaverse has teamed up with the Gloria Gemma Breast Cancer Resource Foundation in Rhode Island for this special item. Proceeds from the Steel Brigade action figure will be shared with the Gloria Gemma Foundation. Every Steel Brigade you purchase will help with this great cause. You too can join the Action Force for this fight. Go get your Steel Brigade trooper now and help bring the fight to cancer. It's time for action.
This vintage Kenner Aliens power loader. This was from, Aliens 2. I gotta say, I'm not an Aliens fan, so my knowledge on the movies is sparse at best. But, everyone knows the iconic Ripley, power loader. So this was one that Matt graciously picked up for us to unbox and review. It is sealed, so this is probably going to cause a lot of, backlash for me opening up this toy from 1992. Kenner did some really great stuff with this Kenner line and then the Predators and stuff like that. But we're going to open up this power loader. But first, this is a pet peeve of mine because I have to take this price tag off. Listen, resellers out there, this right here, no good. The last thing you want to do is put a sticky price tag on a almost 30-year-old box or 30-year-old box. Because this cardboard is porous. It's not like the glossy, packages of modern day. This stuff is older and it's breaking down. So the last thing you want to do is put a sticky price tag on that. So luckily this is coming off, but if this sits in your store too long and if it gets hot or temperatures change, that stickiness could seep into the cardboard and rip the cardboard, and this is something that maybe somebody wanted to keep in box. So don't do it. All right, my knife. Ooh, cutting open a vintage, toy. Wow, $10 from Toys R Us. Look at that, $10. All right, here we go. Oh, I just heard the breath of collectors saying, "I can't believe you just cut that tape and they're opening that up." All right. So the reason I want to start with this one first is because it's older. They didn't really get crazy with it. The design was very simple, but it's a starting point. So, oh, look, the claw. Remember these commercials? Thing was awesome. I love these little books they came with. Like, oh, Batman Returns, all these great figures. Yeah. Batman Returns Batcave. I love it. Terminator 2, starting lineup. Savage Mondo Blitzers. Robin Hood Prince of Thieves. Yeah, baby. All right, so we're talking about mech suits, not this stuff. All right, it's got instructions. So let's see here. All right. Here we go. All right, so it's got a simple cockpit. Now, again, in the movie, it wasn't very crazy. It wasn't like something from like Avatar or Exo Squad. It was very simple. She goes in it. It had tracks. Put the arms on. What is this, the missile launcher? Yep. Spring-loaded missile launcher. Staple of the 90s. Still works. All right. So that goes on the back. All right. I won't put the stickers on now, but just give you an idea of what we're looking at. So roll cage goes up, figure gets trapped in there. She could hold on to the controls here. It's got a plunger on the back to make the claws work. It's got some guns on the side. It's simple, but it works. The legs don't move. Oh, they didn't even put, I would have thought they would have put like little wheels on here. Like G.I. Joe vehicles for Real American Hero, the tank treads always had like wheels that you could, slide them. So I would have thought that they would have put those in there, but they didn't. The treads are kind of cool. As far as design, it's not a fast-moving mech because you have to slowly move forward, whereas if you're in a mech that's controlled like by feet, you can walk and move and have more mobility. Again, this thing, it works. It's got features which are cool. Now, if I were to do a mech, customization for the mech is like paramount to everything. You have to be able to, pull off, at least arms, because it's like if you have a claw on one or a minigun on one or a flamethrower or a missile launcher, you want to be able to swap that out between different versions. So, you can kind of start with some basic cockpits and then build onto that. So maybe if you had, 2 different sets of legs to start off with and like 4 or 6 different sets of arms, then you can make different versions and then maybe 2 different cockpits, because there has to be some reuse with something this big. Exo Squad was impressive because they tooled everything new. And it's like Wolf Bronski's E-frame was Wolf Bronski's. It wasn't used for anyone else. But again, that could have added to the line's sort of demise because as you saw as the line got further down and more items came out, they stopped putting knee joints in the E-frame. So you could see there was cost reducing going on even in the 2nd and 3rd year. But you can't do that. You can't just tool a Condor, mech suit and then a Trigger mech suit and have it be totally different because that's how you bankrupt yourself. So, yeah, it's like what about this? Do I like? I do like that it would be easy to get the figure in. It's just a roll cage. It's not a real cockpit. So is it something more like this? Like this is almost a cross between like an exosuit like in Elysium and an Exo Squad mech suit, because Exo Squad was fully closed in. This is open, kind of like an exosuit, but it moves with treads or wheels or something like that. It's not just a person walking. So it's simple and it works. I don't think this is the direction we want to go in, but we know now. We know, like, okay, well, you guys would want more than this. If you're taking a premium, action figure and you're putting it in a really simplified mech suit, I just don't think that pairs well, But again, it's, I haven't picked up the Mezco mech suit, but I plan on it for the series. I got to see what the price point is on that. I think it was pretty high. I know it's like price point's important for you guys, but at the same time, you guys can't expect us to do a mech suit and have it be, cheap. Like you're going to have to pay for premium. So we want to do a premium mech suit. This is not the direction we want to go in. But it's cool. All right, next we do have a lot of turtle stuff because Matt's a huge Turtles fan. So we brought a lot of turtle stuff. So we will look at a Turtles one next. This one, I was never familiar with this one, so I was surprised when I saw it. This fits the vintage Turtles figures. Do you know when this came out?
It was like 2013, actually. It's not.
Oh, really?
It's not vintage.
Oh, let's see if there's a date on it. And Playmates put this out?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it does fit the vintage figures.
But it's supposed to. It's just like they re-released the vintage in like 2013, I think.
Got it.
And they made that.
Okay, so this works for Turtles. It obviously it closes almost like Exo Squad. It's not a full canopy. It's just like a roll cage, and then that closes over, and he holds onto the handles. But it fits really well. And then it's got basic movable arms, but I do like that. That's fun. It looks like those missiles fire out of the shoulders. Firing missiles, it's like spring-loaded missiles. Do you guys like spring-loaded missiles, or is that something that's like, no, it's a kid thing, I wouldn't fire my missiles anyway? Because if you're like, if that's not important, I'm not going to waste the money on the internal, function of it. But it is electronic. It does have, battery port here. It's got the spinning radar dish, which Exo Squad stuff had. I believe it was Alec Deleon had that. The legs sort of move, kinda, and it does have rolly wheels, so it can move, and it looks like wheels can go sideways. What did the electronics do on this? Did it make it walk?
I wish I knew. I think it's bad.
Because I feel like...
I think it makes it walk.
I think these do walk, yeah. So I wouldn't do that. I don't think I'd make it walk. That's a lot of cost. But it's simple, and it's cool because it's bulky and big, and it had a play feature for kids. So there's something cool here. It looks cool, And it's like you can go a couple different ways with mech suits as far as like the figure fitting in. It's like you can go this route where the figure holds controls that are exterior from the canopy. Or it could be like the Exo Squad cartoon where the arms were inside the arms, but that was just in the cartoon, not the toys. The toys were more like this. It could be like Hulkbuster Iron Man where his arms are inside the arms. And then you could do something like what we're going to talk about in a minute where you're inside the canopy and it's all controlled in there. So I'll get into that one next. But, it's interesting seeing the route, some take with mech suits. Again, this worked for what it was. It was a very kid-focused mech suit based on features. But, there's definitely some stuff here that we can look at, and I think will work for what we're trying to do. All right, so breaking away from turtles, we'll go into Avatar. I love Avatar. I know some people might not. I love it. But they had these, they called them amp suits, but they were basically mech suits that they kind of ripped off from the Matrix. And I'm going to have to buy that mech suit because those were cool too. But, you know, the Matrix ones, they held handles almost like these in Exo Squad, but it was very armed. The arms were high up, almost like, you know, like an orangutan. It was very, very high shoulders up over the, you know, the head of the person and the pilot in the cockpit. These ones were kind of cool. But again, these ones, the person, the pilot, fit inside. Like, I don't know if you could see, they fit down in a cavity. So their legs are in here. They're not in here. So they're basically controlling all of the movement, the legs and the arms from, it was handles, like VR handles that they held onto. And you see in the movie, he kind of boxes. But it also controls the movement of the legs. You're not controlling the movement of the legs in the cockpit with your legs. Like Pacific Rim, when they were in the cockpit head, they strapped in, and when they moved their right leg, it moved the right leg of the, you know, the mech. It wasn't like this here. It was all control based. So that's an option, you know, because then you have more freedom for mobility. If you have a figure's arms and legs tied into the arms and legs of the mech suit, your range of motion is hindered because now you're moving two sets. You're moving the figure's arms and the mech's arms. And then obviously because the figure's smaller, that range is going to be hindered from what the mech can do. So at least this, you have a free range to move these arms because they're not tied to the figure, which is cool. The thing I didn't like about this is they made this out of all PVC, and PVC creates friction in a way. So it's like ABS slides nicer, and like these are just thick PVC parts, whereas I probably would have hollowed this out and made it a two-part sonic welded ABS part. Like this is ABS. This is hard plastic ABS. This is all ABS, hard plastic ABS, sonic welded. This is interesting because the majority of this is PVC, where it's a softer plastic. It retains more detail because of the pull of the mold, but PVC can warp easy, and it doesn't have it creates too much friction. But that's just what they decided to do with this. But it's simple. It doesn't have like features. It just moves. It has articulation. The knife comes out. You know, it comes with the big Gatling gun that he had in the movie. Nice if I can get that in. And, you know, the cockpit's basic. It's got some deco, and, you know, the figure. I forget his name in the movie. They made him in scale with the avatars because the avatars were huge. So they made him kind of in scale with it. I thought he was maybe a little too small compared to it, but I'd have to like check the movie and stuff. But, you know, it's a decent figure. You know, camo on his pants and stuff, nice looking figure. Visible pins, which is known for McFarlane, but it works. I mean, you know, that's the other thing is, you know, if you make a mech suit, you make an expensive mech suit, do you make it come with a unique figure, or do you just use your Action Force figures as if they're all piloting, you know, anyone can pilot it? That will greatly cut down on the cost, because if you have, and I'm not saying this is what it's going to cost, I'm just hypothetical here, is if you have a mech suit that would be, you know, $200, but then you throw a $30 figure in it, well, you're jacking up your price. And it's like, if you want to stay within a certain window, you might, you know, say it's like, okay, it's just the mech suit. I have to see what that Mezco one came with. I can't remember if it came with a figure or not, but it's definitely a huge consideration, you know, because it's like you want something unique, a unique pilot, but something like a mech suit, I think, could be a little more forgiving if it didn't come with one, because then you can put any figure in here. But yeah, I mean, this is cool. It works. It's simple. There's nothing crazy, ridiculous, special about it. It just works. It works for what it does, and that's it. I mean, you know, the hands don't articulate or anything like that. So, but I think this thing was $40. So you have to keep to a really low price point when you're doing $40. Like McFarlane does crazy price points as it is. Like he's always been pretty good at keeping his prices low, but then sometimes he'll come out with something that's ridiculously priced, and you're like, wow, why is that so high? Because his other stuff is low. But this, not much to it. Royalty was probably low on Avatar stuff, but again, simple, works. Get back in your suit. All right, what should we grab next? Let's just do all these at the same time because they're really little. So again, more turtle stuff. And this is all stuff.
Careful with those because they are worth hundreds of dollars.
For real?
Yeah, they're very rare, especially complete.
I'm going to break one. My goodness.
That one especially.
Are they really?
That one you can't even find on eBay right now.
Like, why? What?
It's impossible to complete them. Like that one's complete. That missile is his, but the Leonardo is like maybe 50% complete.
Is it because of all the tubes and guns? Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't seem like stuff that's
And the thing on the
easily
top,
lost.
you can see that it's missing on Leo's.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah.
Playmates never puts any. Oh, there it is. Inside the leg is the markings. 1998. Yeah. Wow. So they did these mini mechs. I'm like, pressure's on me now. So they did these mini mechs. Now it's interesting that it's Playmates. In 1998, Exo Squad came out in I think 93 or 94. So same company. So they knew what they were doing. And it's basically like Exo Squad. You know, figure clips in, and he's got, you know, the parts that close in around him. That's it. It's basic. You know, not a lot of articulation. You know, just in the shoulders. The elbows don't move. The hands have it. Like, he's got handles they can hold on to on the sides. But really basic. And then they put these little mini turtles. It's kind of funny. They did these weird scaled just turtles. But it looks like the molds are the same. So the wires and tubes and stuff are different. But the canopy, the mech suit, like arms and legs are the same. So you save a bunch there and you just tool up a couple different parts. But simple, very simple. I do like that the canopy is a turtle head. Like, that's cool. You know, but again, Action Force, there's nothing, like, they're not turtles, there's nothing like iconic as far as them being like a anthropomorphic reptile to do something like this. It's like they're human, you know, they're humans. But this is really clever. I like funny stuff like this. It gives it a really nice silhouette. Like, this is cool. I'm gonna put it down now because I don't want to break it. Leo is pretty much the same. So, well, he's faded. But
the figure?
Yeah.
So that figure, they reused a bunch. So that may not even be the exact one that goes with it. They put it like with DVDs and everything.
Oh, and the heads on them are the same. So they just reuse the figure. It's smart because when you're making stuff for kids, a kid isn't going to look and be like, oh, it's the same parts. Like, I'm not going to buy it. It's the same parts, like us collectors would think. Kids just want something fun to play with, and that's exactly what this does. So, bravo. But Playmates was always really, really good at that. You know, they made stuff that kids wanted to play with and was fun. And these mini things, these were probably $6, you know, in stores, $4.99 at that time. So very fun. This looks like this is from what year was this era of Turtles?
It's like the 2006, 2007 TMNT movie. Probably came out in like 2008.
Okay. All right, so he fits in there. It's Leo in a giant samurai armor. It looks like he's missing some pieces that would have closed in around him, like a cockpit would have been here. but you know, this is very much like the other one. It's just, you know, it's got features, but simple. But again, Playmates knew what they were doing with mechs because they had the Exo Squad. This I like because you have like the piston in there to move the feet. That is fun. Looks like he had 2 big swords that probably went back here. So simple design, but again, effective. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about for this part is, again, another Turtles mech suit. This was for that same movie, which is a very awesome movie. But this one is quite different. This one is like an exosuit, like an Elysium exosuit. Oh, that's what that does. Squeeze leg. All right, so he's got the mech kind of tied to him, squeeze leg, and it flips that up. That's fun. That's really fun. But again, this is kid focused, so I don't think you guys would want features like this. You know, it's very interesting because that's the other route we could take. Should we make an exosuit? Just an exosuit, and then keeps costs down. You could put it on any figure basically. And then maybe you have different attachments that could go on for the exosuit, and then it's not this big giant clunky mech. So it's much cheaper, and it's something cool and different. But again, this is why I'm doing this, because I want to see what options are out there. What is you know, the best route to take? Is it an amalgamation of everything? But again, when you're doing something new, you want to research. You always want to research because you want to know what's right for your line, what's come before, what works, what doesn't, and then be able to form your best thing. Everything in the toy industry is an evolution of something else. It's like, you know, Real American Hero was a smaller version of, you know, the vintage 12-inch line, and then there are characters that Ron Rudat, you know, used as inspiration. You know, the Dreadnoks are all Mad Max characters, and Chuckles is Magnum PI. He said these in interviews, like that's where he got his inspiration. You know, the Vamp is that it was a concept Ferrari vehicle. It was never made. It was never in the military, but he used it as reference because it was a concept thing, and they put it in the line. But everything comes from somewhere. You know, Conan, He-Man. You know, everything evolves from something. You know, everything has inspiration on other things. So, you know, because there have been so many mech suits, it's hard to do a mech without having it tie back to any one of these mech suits. Because look how many have been done. Exo Squad, you could do a whole series based on the Exo Squad mech suits because they did so many. Like the Maggie Weston exo suit that I like is very much like this, where she kind of sits in a big cockpit like this. She's not in a drop-down canopy, you know, closed-in frame mech suit like, you know, like these guys. So, you know, everything's different. Again, I want to see that Mezco one. I'm going to pick up the, you know, the Matrix one again. But if you guys know of ones that other companies put out, I think Joy Toy does some at, you know, 1/18 scale. We're going to get a bunch. If you guys like this series and we're going to keep exploring it, we'll look into it more and we'll really do a deep dive into it. And maybe as we build on this might build to us maybe announcing mech suits. That might be fun. But, you know, again, hope you guys enjoy it. Would love your feedback. Let us know what you think. Again, like and subscribe. We put out new content every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you turn on notifications, and looking forward to like Saturday morning cartoons with Valaverse. So thanks guys for checking out this video, and we'll see you on the next part.
It's time for action. Action Force Series 5, the all-new premium action figure line from Valaverse, is here. The Action Force team is introducing some new recruits with Atlas, Senshi, and Sidewinder. Every good unit starts with a great leader. Now we finally get to see who's barking all the orders at the Action Force team. Colonel Siege, the leader of Action Force, is also part of Series 5. All of these new heavy hitters will be needed on the Action Force team because there's a new threat on the horizon. Built inside the secret walls of Crimson Shadow Technologies, a new android security force is born. The Praetorians have now been unleashed. Of course, it wouldn't be a new Action Force series without new basic troopers, gear packs, and a new arsenal of weapons. Head over to Valaverse.com right now to get your pre-order in for Action Force Series 5, arriving later this year. Action Force Series 5 by Valaverse.